Bandwidth for First Updates Now is supported by AndyMark. Are you competition ready? Go to andymark.com and keep your team inspired. And by the Blue Alliance. Keep up to date on all live and archived First Robotics events and team stats at thebluealliance.com. First Updates Now is brought to you by viewers like you. Fun relies on the generous support of our fans in order to continue to keep creating content. Please consider donating, giving bits, or subscribing. Subscribe for a few bucks a month or for free through Twitch Prime. And don't forget that our subscribers get 5x chance to win on all giveaways.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Read the North Recap. Tonight's show, we will talk about Switchplay, what went down in the North last week, preview of Week 6, and talk about the top 10 list. Reporting for First Updates Now, my name is Lenny De La Cruz.
I'm Parth Patel.
I'm Dan.
I'm Chris.
And I am Praneet.
All right, guys, so we'll get right into it. I know we want to go ahead and start talking about all the events we have to cover this week, but before that, let's talk about the Switch. There seems to be a lot of teams that still are trying to figure it out or just don't know when to start attacking it. What do you guys think?
I'll start off.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, Dan.
No,
I think Switchplay is completely underrated, right? Like, everyone knows the scale battles are happening in the middle, and they're visual, and everyone thinks, oh, yeah, that's how you're going to win the game. But there are so many teams, especially in qualification matches, where I've seen, like, top-tier robots just go up, score on the scale, and then their switch is, like, 0-0. It's neutralized 0-0 for, like, half the match. You're just missing out on a lot of points, and someone could capitalize on that.
Agreed. I know Tyler's showing a video right now, something that I watched while I was watching Typica New. 15-1, man, playing some killer D on their own switch, preventing 829 and getting points there. I mean, that was super smart, and it ultimately won them the match.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, if you play... Go ahead.
Go. All right. So, I mean, like, you just see these scale battles are happening, and then all of a sudden a cube falls off or something, and it just goes to the other alliance, and they just keep trying to get back that lead when they're already so far behind. You just got to start doing something else. And you see these switches that just have one cube in them at the end of the match, and it's just like there's so much untapped potential right now.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of the switch play of if you're able to go attack their switch and they need to get it back and they start using their tower of cubes in front, that's less cubes for them to throw quickly into their vault and less chance for power-ups and those 5 points per the cube. So you can also play that strategy so they're not able to use as many power-ups throughout their match as well.
Yeah, and I think I just want to quickly chime in. I just want to say, especially to the alliances that have a multiple cube autonomous modes for their scales, if you're in a 1 or 2 cube lead coming out of autonomous, like, both robots don't necessarily have to go work the scale. Like, you could be, like, in this case, because time is literally money for teams, negating is just as good as scoring. So a lot of teams need to just figure out their priorities on that. And, you know, if you have a slight lead coming out of the scale in auto, like, try to neutralize the switch. It's heavily, heavily underrated.
Or just like you just start getting into a scale battle, and then halfway through the match immediately switch over to the switch and just completely catch the other alliance off guard. They're not going to know what to do because they're going to be starting to lose points from not getting those switch points, and they're going to be panicking. So just try to take advantage of something like that.
I know there was a time that we were playing against, I know it was against 4485 in Plainfield, but we were getting stomped on the scale, and I was like, all right, guys, let's just go ahead and switch. And I see 6 cubes on their own switch already, and I was like, well, there's nothing that I can do at this point. You know, it's kind of demoralizing, too, when you're trying to switch gears and you just see that you can't do anything. I don't know what you guys do. I know some of you guys are drive coaches, but it's really hard to say, okay, well, just do something at this point, you know?
Yeah, I know in our last quarterfinal match, we were going to be doing some switch play, but by the time we were even able to get over there, they already had a couple cubes in it, and it wasn't worth it, so we just started attacking the scale again. But the idea in theory was just go attack their switch so they'd have to pull some cubes from their stack and not throw it in the vault again. But yeah, it's crazy and hectic when you're down there on the field, and split-second decisions can make or break those matches.
And getting a favorable RNGesus on your side to get the scale on the far side from the exchange portal, if you guys know what I mean. So it's more difficult for the defending alliance to stop you while doing the Volt. Team 7058, the Strat Droids, a couple of weeks ago at Waterloo, ran that defense really, really well through quarter, semis, and finals on their way to getting the blue banner there. But it's really underrated, the job of the bot that is working on the Vault, who's protecting the switch and filling the Vault while playing defense on like the opposing scale bot, the switch bot that's coming to get your switch. 50% of the time you won't get it, or ideally 50%, but you never know how it might end up, I guess.
There needs to be a term for when a robot will just go to the feeding station, grab a switch or grab a cube, place it in the opponent's switch, and just keep cycling like that. Because I see that a lot, where one robot will just do that for the first 40 seconds of the match, try to get like 6 or 7 cubes in their opponent's switch, and just completely just mess them up. I think it should be called switch sucking or something like that.
I don't know what you call it.
A hard call. That's a hard call to make, guys. To devote that many cubes.
Death cycles. That's good.
It's not bad.
Death cycles. There we go.
Ginger Power 20 in chat.
Death
Ginger
cycles.
Yeah, like the every bots do it a lot, where they just completely cycle just back and forth on Switch. Death cycles. I like that.
Very nice.
Yeah, as a coach, my strategy guys are always yelling at me for underplaying my switch, overplaying the opposing switch, and it seems like no matter what I do, I'm always playing the switch wrong according to my strategy guys. And so I know that for other coaches, I'm sure it's a difficult play as well.
Oh man, I don't want to call it armchair quarterbacking, but being able to make calls on the side of the field versus being behind the glass is so different. I know I got yelled at multiple times at playing field for my strategy guy, but I'll be in the side like, why aren't they doing this? It's super easy, but when you watching the match flow and trying to keep track of 6 robots and also the cubes and the time and all that stuff, man, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, when you're behind the glass, it's a completely different perspective. You can't see that cube that's blocked on the other side of the scale, and you're, half the field away from it. You can't see that, and everybody in the stand can see it. They're like, why is he not grabbing that one cube? But I
am definitely guilty of being that strategy guy. I'm like, why isn't our draft coach doing this? Why wasn't he doing that? So I'm definitely the bad guy on that one.
All right, that's enough Switch talk for right now. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the show. We want to start the recap. So take it away, guys.
All right, well, I guess we'll get stuff started out with the Medtronic Foundation Regional, formerly known as the 10,000 Lakes Regional. That had 61 teams arrive for this great competition here in Minnesota. Many teams, it was their second event, so that was going to elevate the game a little bit. A lot harder matches getting in there. So getting that extra rank point was definitely going to be a vital point to being able to seed first up there. In the end, Team 2509 took that top seeded position with a 3.11 rank points. Though an interesting turn of events during alliance selection, 51-72, 20-52, 30-26, and 23-3 all declined the invitation from that first seed. So that kind of shook things up with alliance selections, where all those alliance captains not being able to then pick each other. So that led into the quarters, where we saw the A seed actually upset the first seed. And the A seed would actually end up actually going all the way into the finals matches, where they'd faced off against the alliance captains of the second seed of 2052, the Nightcrawlers, 54-34 and 59-13. The final matches were a huge battle for the scale. Lots of cubes thrown up there. The first match went to the second seed with 365 to 274. So the second match came down to only a 5-point separation, which was crazy. Though it would be the second seed that took the upper side of that 5 points and ended up winning the scale battle there. They were just able to quickly place. They had 2 elevators against a shooter and a scissor lift robot. It was a really cool, interesting battle, the 2 dynamics as well. Though with that, 3 wild cards were generated at the event, so everyone on the finals field actually ended up qualifying for Worlds. And congratulations to Team 1816, the Green Machine, on their Chairman's Award.
All right, so let's bring it into the Ontario side of things. Windsor-Essex Great Lakes District event saw 37 teams come together at the University of Windsor this past weekend, including 4 teams visiting us from down south from Michigan. This was, in a lot of ways, still a Week 1 event for more than half of the teams because they were hitting the arcade for the very first time this season. Teams 6-10, 11-14, 33, 44-05, 35-38 all came in with an event win under their belt. And we're going to have some strong opposition from their friends over on 865, 772, and even 5505. In fact, Team 610 and 772 got locked into an intense fight for hashtag 4RP to try and lock in the number 1 spot until literally the final 2 qualification matches of the tournament. Team 610, narrowly taking first, would pick Canadian Hall of Fame team 1114 and third-time arcade goers team 6331. This alliance was capable of some devastatingly fast cycle times, and they even tried to collaborate scale autonomous modes, which might be an interesting development in Power Up going forward. After a convincing quarterfinals win, the number 1 alliance would see 1114's elevator break and Team 6331 having issues of their own to lose semifinal match number 2. After a timeout, 1114 makes the field, but the robot issues unfortunately continue to haunt the number 1 alliance. While the consistent play of teams 49-36, 55-05, and 44-05 saw the number 4 alliance take the rubber match. The number 4 alliance would go on to play the number 2 alliance of 7-7-2, 33, and 68-75 in the finals. The number 2 alliance just dominated the scale in both the finals matches, taking the win. This gave rookies 68-75, who is an amazing team. The girls are always excited, and they're always in a great mood. They're positive attitude, fun to work with. They got their first win as rookies. Team 772, I'm so happy for this team. They got their first win at home. And I know they haven't had a win in a few years, and they totally deserve it. What an awesome robot. And it just adds to the amazing count that the Bees have put up down in Michigan. Congrats also go out to Team 865 for their Engineering Inspiration Award. And 6331 at their third event would get no district points no matter how they performed at this event. But winning the Chairman's Award gives them the direct route to district championship. What an amazing second-year team, and I'm also super excited to see them at district champs.
Now let's take it down to Tippecanoe in Indiana. The final district event in Indiana, and teams are looking to lock in their spot in the state championship. Battling for the number 1 spot were 1741, 868, and 829, and everyone had their eyes on 1747's performance after the heartbreaking Plainfield. After it was all said and done, it was 1741 with 38 ranking points, locking in the number 1 seed. 1741 had their eyes on the prize and used their advantage as the number 1 seed to select 829 to ensure them and 868 did not link up and lock in their pick for 1747. With some crazy close matches, it was the 1741 alliance versus the number 2 pair-up of 868, 1501, and the rookie team 7198 TL Fearsome Gears. Red would win the first match no problem, and it looked like a sweep. But with some odds-on misses from the number 1 alliance, it seemed like the number 2 seed had a shot. After a blue win, it would go to 3 matches, where the number 2 seed beats the number 1 seed and takes home those banners. Congrats to 868, 1501, and 1798 on the blue banner. Shout out to 1741 on the silver gold cling bling with their finalists and chairmans, and also shout out to 461 for the EI award as well.
Very nice, very nice. I guess I'll take it back on over to Minnesota.
With the North Star Regional.
It's actually the 10th anniversary of this actual event, which had, I think, 7 teams that have competed all 10 years at this event, which is crazy to think about. Though it was probably one of the least number of events with only 54 teams in probably some of its history. A couple teams dropped out, and so that's where we were left with 54 teams at this event. I was drive coaching for 3883 there, so the energy was high, the robots were ready to play. And it was looking like 1625 Winnovation was going to seed first with their ability to do an extra lift and get those extra rank points almost every match. But 3130, the Errors were not far behind and looking to take that top seed position, which they ended up doing with a 2.80 rank score at the end. And in the alliance selection, Errors chose 2175 right off the bat, which was a little bit of a surprise. and 30-82 to round off their alliance. With a tough battle through quarters, so they were fighting our team there. Put up a fight, but all is well. They did end up making it all the way to the finals against the number 2 alliance of 16-25, 24-51, and 22-25. If 31-30 the Airs could pull off the win there, that would have made a 4-year win streak at the competition. But 16-25 was not going to make it easy for them. The first match, though, it looked like it was going to make it easy for them. They easily took down the second seed, 477 to 154. It was, like I said, it was looking like an easy victory. But in that second match, things took an entire 180, where the second seed took the match 420 to 209. They battled hard on the scale, but they also were able to take the switch from the first seeded team for most of the match. So all that switch play really coming into play there. And it came down to the tiebreaker match, whereas yet another battle on that scale. But 2054's 2-cube auto gave them an early advantage, and the Airs and Calculator struggled to get back that switch after it had been on their high side. They had struggled a lot more trying to get the scale back in their favor when it was already up. Though in that last match, some defense play by 2175 at like 45 seconds left had them battling alongside 2451 to try to block them from putting a cube in their switch. Their intakes got involved really close, and 2175's battery actually ended up coming unplugged, and they sat dead on the field for the last 45 seconds. But in the end, Blue was unable to climb. But in the end, they still had a 41-point lead at the end. So it was great plays that led to their victory. It was a tough fought battle for everyone on the field. Like I said, also two wild cards were generated at the event. Everyone on the finals field actually ended up again qualifying for Worlds. So everybody that was in Minnesota that was on a finals field ended up qualifying to go to the Worlds, which was kind of awesome to see. And a huge shout out to 2177, the Robots, for their first ever chairman's win, which was awesome to see.
Well, taking it back north of the border, we go to the near north area of North Bay, where Nipissing University hosted 38 teams from all corners of Ontario and one all the way from Afghanistan. Yeah, that's right. Team 7329, the Afghan Dreamers, were competing at their second event here. A fair majority of the teams here had already competed coming into the event, and 5 of them were coming in with some blue banners to show for it. Hometown favorites team 1305 was looking poised to lock in the number 1 seed at the end of Friday with their Buddy Bar. But a flurry of 4 RP matches on Saturday morning by your Waterloo District Champions team 4917 leapfrogged them into the first place. They picked up team 1305, the next best scale bot there, really, and rookie 6987 Falcon Automation on the way back. Meanwhile, the second alliance captain, team 2708 Lake Effect Robotics, picked up the Durham College District winners, team 4476 Waffles, and team 5834 R3P2, who was just an incredible Volt machine. The number 1 alliance rolled into the playoffs full of confidence, but just narrowly escaped the number 8 alliance, winning the matches with a really close margin, really, of 379 to 342 and 474 to 426. Given that they were the 2 best scale robots, it was really, really surprising to see the number 8 seed pulling it really close. They handily overcame the 4th alliance in the semis and guaranteed themselves a medal. On the other side of the bracket, after a slight hiccup in their first quarterfinals match with the Waffles getting stuck onto the scale, the second alliance made their way into the finals looking to challenge for the blue banner. The number 1 alliance showed no mercy and crushed the opposition in 2 straight matches, with Elmira leading the way with their consistent scale play and their side hang. Of the 5 teams coming into North Bay with banners, 2 of them were able to double their count. And the year of home wins for teams in Ontario continues. Starting with, I think, Dave won their home event 2 weeks ago, then 772 won it this past weekend in Windsor, and 1305 also winning the home event in North Bay. So let's see what next week holds. Also, a big congratulations to Team 771 Swap for winning the District Chairman's Award, and Team 1305 Ice Cube for their gold, silver, I guess Kling Bling for winning the
Bling
district.
bling.
Kling Bling.
Bling bling.
For winning the event and winning the district DI award.
All right. Last but not least was the Buckeye Regional, which was a much more competitive event than I was expecting, with surprises all around. The event was a little bit strange when it came to alliance selection. It took until the 4th seed for Team 3314 to get picked, and although I haven't heard of them until this weekend, I definitely won't be forgetting them soon. They were an absolute monster on the scale, and with their alliance captain at 4145, the Warbots, they took down the first seeded team in a decisive 2 matches. Meeting up in the finals with the 4th seed was the 2nd seed of 379, the Robocats, and 291, Creativity in Action. The finals had the most cubes I have ever seen on a scale. They were stacked 3 high at some points, and there was just 0 left on the field at the end. But what it came down to was switch play, and the 4th seeded alliance in the middle of the match completely caught the Blue Alliance or the Red Alliance off guard. No, the Blue Alliance. Yeah, the Blue Alliance off guard by just taking the switch, and they didn't know what to do. They tried to split up the work, but they just weren't able to do it. And in a 3-match series, the 4th seeded alliance took the victory with the help of their 3rd robot, 5030, the 2nd mouse, who rocked those power-ups. All right. Now that we're all done with the events this week, let's move on to the FRC North Top 10.
Top 10?
Top to 10.
All right, so the first 2 slots are from the Windsor Alliance. Symbotics 1114 and 610 take the first 2. Number 3 and 4 are from the Great Lakes Alliance, Ponage and Winnovation. Now number 5 we got 772, the winners of Windsor, Saber Bites Robotics. Number 6 we got 5172, the Gators, amazing Minnesota team. Number 7 we got 1747, Harrison Boiler Robotics, and 1741, Red Alert, and the number 8, good Indiana teams right there. Number 9 we got 2052 Nightcrawler, another great Minnesota team. And then in the number 10 spot we got 4917 Sir Lancer Bots. So
I'm super excited.
add?
I'm super excited to see 1747 on this list. I think they're probably, if not one of the best team, best robot in Indiana right now with that 2-cube autonomous. I know there's a lot of teams that are going to catch up to them by state, so hopefully we can shrink that margin. And then 1741's been solid every single event, so.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see 772 on there. I know it was obvious that they were going to make it with the way they were playing, but I have to admit, like, their robot, just watching them up close, they were just super consistent, and they were just remarkable at Windsor. And I would have loved to play them in the finals to see what would have happened, but kudos to them for taking the win.
Also want to give a quick shout out to 1806 SWAT. They competed in Oklahoma this week, and they actually won their event, so shout out to them. They definitely played super well, and they had a great time.
Is there any snubs that you guys feel like you guys have seen that should be on this list that's not on it?
I think I would put on Team 1305. I think they're like an underrated robot outside of just the northern area, really. They're super consistent scale bot and really, really slick to drive around the field. And, going back to the switch game we were talking about earlier in the show, they're really good at owning their own switch and neutralizing the opposing one. And they have a buddy bar. This robot really does it, does it all. So look forward to seeing them at the district champs.
Anyone else really quick?
I'd have to throw in 3130 in there real quick. Even though I really want to beat him one of these days, it would be great. But they did put up a great battle, but unfortunately some minor plays not made. But I think they would do well on this list as well.
Dan Parth?
I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I see my team. I see Winnovation. I like it. All right, so we got to close out right now. So thank you to everyone who has watched. If you want more First Robotics in your life and like what we do, all that we ask is that you let others know about this show and that this is a place you go to for more FRC in your lives. If you got a few bucks to share, we appreciate it. But if not, totally understand. We're just delighted to have you on board. On behalf of myself, Lenny, Parth, Praneet, and Chris, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and thanks to all of our moderators in chat. Our next show is Best of the West. Talk to you next week on We the North Recap.